Hello all. In this short video we will be talking about the funeral of Sophi Mol as it is portrayed in the novel The God of Small Things by Arun Roy. Sophi Mol is just a 9-year-old child, and in the very first chapter we are told about the funeral that is taking place inside the church of these Christians, and everybody of the family which inhabits Eminem House is going to attend that. There are no more details offered in the beginning pages about the way Sophi Mol died, but the presence of funeral and the presence of Sophi Mol in her small coffin is a sufficient proof that probably she died because of certain accident, and now everybody is sad on her demise, and everyone is going to take a lot of prayer part and the sadness part, the grievous part, in order to show how much sad they are at her funeral. In this paragraph we get double version of the things. One version is the version of the older parents and the second and the older members of the family, and the second version is that of the children. How do they look at that? The writer has told us that the older members of the family are on one side and the other members of the family are like the children or the babies, Esther and Rahel, they are on the other part, and in that way they are standing and waiting for the priest to say the prayers. And in the meanwhile, the writer takes time to describe about the coffin of that Sophi Mol. And the coffin is very small, and the graphic details of the coffin have been given. How Sophi is lying in her coffin, and how she is looking, appearing innocent child that has died. She's looking beautiful, and her coffin is equally beautiful. It has been decorated just as the things of the children will be decorated in order to amuse them, in order to make them look as beautiful as possible. But the interesting thing is that the coffin is there, everybody is sad, and the priests have been going around while they are throwing some type of cologne or some type of smells upon the people, and these things are creating a sort of environment that something like funeral is going on. Here we see that Margaret, that other characters like Margaret, Baby Kuchama, and many other of the family, Amu for example, everybody is present there, and everybody is trying to take part into that. And a very interesting incident happens, that a very small bat travels from the ground and tries to climb the clothes of Baby Kuchama, and ultimately it rises upward and upward, reaches the belly portion of Baby Kuchama, and when it reaches there, Baby Kuchama raises shrieks and jumps up and down, and as a result the bat leaves her, but the whole funeral is disturbed. So it means that Baby Kuchama is the one who becomes the victim of the bat, and she has to become like a baby while she is reacting against the presence of that bat. Not that she's a baby, she's a grown-up woman, but the things she does, but the way she behaves, or the way she reacts, that comes to the level of a baby, and that is perhaps the name Baby Kuchama there. We have some of the articles of Sophi Mol which are buried alongside her in her coffin. One of them is the bag, and then is the hat. The writer has taken the opportunity to talk about the names of these things as well. For example, go bag, which she is possibly carrying, and that is the part and parcel of Sophi Mol's life, which she liked in her life, and now she is getting that one in that coffin as well. And the next thing that we must talk about is that everybody is sad at this moment. Everybody is trying to show some kind of sadness because the time is like that, and so everyone is showing grief, but the children have their own version of this funeral ceremony. They are rather looking at the dome of the church, and they are trying to see what colors are used there, what pictures are made there, and how the church would look like when somebody was painting on that. And they were remembering and realizing that someone like Valutha might have climbed the stairs in order to reach the top of the dome of the church and might have painted all that. And they are also looking at other articles. They are not realizing the kind of severity which is involved in the death of Sophi Mol, and they are not realizing that one of their companions gone, and they are not realizing that they are performing a serious ceremony. Their word is a different word. So a child psychology, a different type of psychology on the part of Esther and Rahel has also been shown to show them that they're really children. they cannot behave like the elder people. They cannot show the grief in that way as elder people would show. Their habits, their working, their thinking is genuine as the thinking of a child can be. So that is why they have a different version of all the things which they are observing and seeing, and so much so that we have the description of the beard of the priest as well. They say that's a curly type of beard, and he is cleaning his beard again and again with his fingers in order to show us perhaps something has entered into his beard. So funeral services continue to take place, and funeral services are performed. Church is described in that way. The writer has taken up this opportunity in order to show how the Christian people who were living in India, as the family of Amu and her parents is there, how they performed their ceremonies inside the church and what type of churches they had there. So the Christian aspect of the narrative of the novel has also been talked about. But it's very interesting. Another very interesting thing is in this passage, which describes the ceremony, the funeral ceremony of Sophi Mol, is the kind of use of language that we frequently find in post-novel text. For example, when baby Chama shrieks up because of the presence of bat on her body, she jumps up and raises noises, and many people are uttering certain words which are really the concocted and new invention of this writer, Arundhati Roy. For example, what's it, what happened. These words are written in a combined way, not separately, just to show as if it is going to be one word. So in this way, the kind of situation as revealed to us in the same way as it is uttered, the word is uttered, or the combination of the words is uttered by the people, in the same way they have been written in the text as well, just to show how would these words appear when they are spoken by anyone in the fashion as people speak in their anxiety, in their tension. So in that way, the wording, the mixing of the wording and trying to create a new type of word, that is the style of most of the post-colonial writers, as Arundhati Roy is also. She's also following in the same way the similar kind of style of the writing or the use of the language. So in this way, the language has been exploited in order to convey the particular sense of the local time and the speech of the people in this passage as well. So not only we have described with different kind of members of the family in this passage, while the description of Sophi Mol's funeral goes on, we are also told how the Christian people would perform their funeral ceremony if one of the children dies there. So the culture of the Christian people while living in India, how they do these things, that has also been told to us while taking the opportunity of the death of Sophi Mol. The next and last thing that we can talk about this paragraph is that as the novel claims to be a post-colonial novel, so therefore it would be having always a non-linear type of narrative, because we are not told any details about the death of Sophi Mol, but we are told certainly about the funeral ceremony going on there. So whatever the writer will remember out of her memory lane, that narrative will continue in that way. So therefore, instead of a linearity, we shall be having most of the time non-linearity of narrative here in this passage and whole of the novel as well. This is all about this passage. Hopefully meeting you people with some new video about some new passage of the same novel for some time. So thank you very much for watching it. Thank you all. That's it from me for this day.